Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, baby, boxing, undisputed, coming up, right? It's a few times this year. We got one coming up not too far in the distant future with Clarissa Shields, the GOAT, versus Savannah Marshall, the only one that we think can possibly give her a real go, real run for her money. That's a huge fight. And we just had, Castano and Jamel Charlo, undisputed, right? And hey, we got in the lightweight division, a glamour division, right? We had a big fight, kind of big fight, with Gervonta Davis and Rolly Romero. But this is a big fight. Going on down under with George Kambosos, 20-0 with 10 KOs, versus your boy Devin the Dream Haney, 27-0, 15 KOs. For undisputed, for all of the marbles, right? And it's going down. Now, when it comes to this fight, it's huge, right? And, y'all know what time it is when it comes to me. I like undisputed. That's one of the main reasons I watch. Those other fights are okay, and, I tune into them eventually, but it ain't for me. It ain't my cup of tea, y'all. I like undisputed because we got too many damn champions in every division. We got about 10 of them. 10 champions in every division, close to 10. You just name them. You got the four, WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF. Those are the main ones. Then you got the IBO and the IBA coming through the back door. What is that, 6? You put the regular and the regular and the franchise. That's 8. Just throw gold and interim on there, and you're up to 10. Everybody stands up when you say champ, stand up. It's just too many. So therefore, when it's undisputed, that's for me. That I just focus on that. And I'm happy for all the fighters who are trying to become undisputed. That's cool. By the way, Terrence Crawford and your boy Errol Spence going to get it on too for undisputed. So, that's good for boxing. And it's good, right? I know people are like, well, don't forget Canelo got it at 168. Yeah and no, right? He still got to get Benavidez because Benavidez, he didn't fight for the WBC title, right? That was just given to him. And I'm pretty sure when I say WBC, that's the same one that gave him the franchise, raised the Cambluterol levels, let him fight at 155 pounds instead of 154, 160, and I can go on and on and on. So yeah, that's the WBC, so of course. Bottom line is, but he did go beat some guys, for close to undisputed. He just needed one more, and because the lineal champ means something. But we ain't going to talk about Canelo. We do that too much, right? But this Kambosos versus Haney fight is huge. And I'm just watching the body language, and the things that are being said, right? And from, not going to say day one, but of late, Kambosos to me, and I don't really want to say, he seems scared, right? Or uneasy. Now, let me preface this by saying, when a boxer's scared, that don't mean nothing. Once somebody, it really don't mean nothing, because once they get in the ring, they get hit, them instincts kick in, and it's on. And you should be apprehensive. It's a boxing match. Us to play other sports, you scared before your basketball game. You scared because you got to go play some soccer or something. So a boxer, yeah, I should be scared. It's a dude trying to knock my head off. So that don't really mean nothing. Let me make sure that's clear. But I just think when I'm watching Kambosos say things, he seems to be focused on one thing. And I'm going to read something, right, from this. They had their little back and forth in their first press conference. And here's George Kambosos, right? Let's read his quote. "This is amazing. This is what the sport is about. And I made this happen. I chose the biggest fights possible. I took out Teofimo Lopez. Obviously, this guy, ... I was prepared to fight Lomachenko. That was done. He couldn't make it because of the Ukraine war. No problem. Devin wanted to step up, and he did. Okay. But he was forced into this. He's not my mandatory. I could have fought anyone. I could have fought the garbage man outside if I wanted to. But I chose you," talking to Devin Haney. "You're not my mandatory. I picked you. You're here. And everything is a go for Sunday." Right? Let's read one more and then we'll go ahead. "I became more obsessed. I became champion and realized I love the sport more than anything in the world. I'm very blessed to be here. I made this happen. If it wasn't for me, this wouldn't be happening today here. And bring it on." Right? So how many times have you hear that he's the one that made it happen? He picked Devin Haney. Right? And I'm looking at that and I'm like, dude, that's going to go down good to people who are not paying attention. People that pay attention is like, dude, you picked Lomachenko over Devin Haney. That's what you picked, right? You picked Lomachenko. Why did you do that? Because you feel he's easier, right? You feel he's easier. Because Lomachenko, let's make sure, I know people hear Lomachenko's name and they don't really know what he's up to. Lomachenko is the reason we have a franchise title in the lightweight division. You know why Lomachenko asked to get a franchise title? Because his mandatory was Devin Haney. So instead of fighting Devin Haney, he asked the WBC, look, give me that belt you just gave Canelo Alvarez so he don't have to fight Charlo. Then I'm going to do the same thing with Haney, and then I'm going to go fight Teofimo Lopez, thinking that Teofimo Lopez is easier than Devin Haney. And actually, Lomachenko was supposed to fight Devin Haney, his mandatory, Teofimo Lopez fight Richard Comey, and the winners fight each other. But Lomachenko asked for something. So he's the reason we have franchise, by the way. Right? So Kambosos asked to fight Lomachenko. That's who we wanted to fight. Bring him out of Ukraine, don't matter. Right? So you asked to fight a guy for less money, and he's not offering you undisputed. So let's get that clear. Think about it. It should have been like, Lomachenko, I'll get to you. Lomachenko, you got the winner. I'm one belt away from undisputed, from really undisputed. Kind of like Canelo was one belt away from fighting Demetrius Andrade, and he could have been undisputed at middleweight before going up to the easy weight division, 168, which is not easy no more, but when he went up, see? Instead of fighting Demetrius Andrade for all that money, way more money than he ever earned, I'm going to go up here to 168. So what Kambosos wants is Lomachenko instead of undisputed for more money with Devin Haney. So that's when I hear that, I picked you. He wants props for picking an undisputed fight. Right? You don't get no props here. And when it comes to something, when it comes to Canelo, Gennady Golovkin, even Tyson Fury, Kambosos, Teofimo Lopez, those kind of guys, all of those guys I liked. All of them. I remember, Canelo, when I saw him fight Golovkin the first time, I'm like, man, he lost to me. But he still looked, I'm talking about, you want to look sensational in a loss? Canelo. He showed his defense and his ring generalship. A lot of things he showed against Golovkin. I don't think he outpointed him. He barely lost that one. And he even looked good against Golovkin in the second fight. And Gennady Golovkin, I liked him at the beginning because he was knocking people out. I knew they were a little bit smaller, but you got to go knock them people out. Right? And then what happens is they get to where it's like somebody undefeated begging them to fight, and they get to ignore them. Same thing with Kambosos. Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez. He was talking about, with me, I'll go undisputed. And then they find out. What do I say every time? These guys start winning, then they find out how entitled they are and how they can treat fighters of color. You don't have to mention them. You don't have to never fight them. And the media will call you better without fighting them. Even though they're champions, even though they're undefeated, even though they're calling you, most of the time even out of your name, even though they're obviously awesome fighters. But they'll call him something like boring, or he brings nothing to the table. They call people that bring the most money you ever made to the table and undisputed. They'll still say he didn't bring nothing to the table. So, and then I realize these fighters understand what they're doing to these brothers. And at that point, they should be able to take a stand and say, you know what, I'm not doing that. That guy is awesome, and I'm just not ready to fight him. I'll fight him later. That's what I would rather prefer, but they don't, and they don't have to, and then we have all these shenanigans. So therefore, that's why I'm looking at Kambosos right now, not saying that he ain't ready. Kambosos, Devin Haney gonna have to put him up, strap him up to beat Kambosos. Kambosos is a damn good fighter, but I just think right now he wants too much props for taking an undisputed fight. That should have been your first option, to get this young, feather-fisted, not a good fighter dude out of the damn way for more money, right? But no, I need 2 fights in Australia and props that I'm fighting for all of the belts, for legacy. You was trying to pick a fight before that. So at the end of the day, that's all I have. I just don't like what Kambosos is saying. I like Kambosos. I don't like him embracing his entitlement, but I like him, especially before the Teofimo Lopez fight. Not so much now, right? But it's not like I don't wish him well. He's good. But I am definitely going for Devin Haney. Devin Haney is, people know how I roll with Negro League fighters. I call them the ones that don't get the props they should. I always list them, and Devin Haney happens to be one of them. He was obviously awesome. I haven't seen Devin Haney in the lightweight division not want to fight anybody. You name anybody in the lightweight division that you think is something, Devin Haney has pushed up on him. Lomachenko, some think he's the best. Devin Haney begged him. You ever heard the term Nomachenko? That was a 20-year-old Devin Haney calling Lomachenko because he didn't want to fight him, as is mandatory, right? Teofimo Lopez, he called out on several occasions. Ryan Garcia was Devin Haney's mandatory. Don't want none. Start calling everybody else except him, right? Jojo Diaz didn't really want none. Javier Fortuna didn't even want none, right? So the people who stepped up got beat. Jojo Diaz, being forced to step up, got beat. Jorge Linares got beat easily. Oh, but he at least got props for rocking Devin Haney. He got more props for rocking Devin Haney than knocking Lomachenko down, for example. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I just think Kambosos should just chill on that. Yeah, dude, it's undisputed. There shouldn't have been no other fight. Y'all feeling that? Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.